Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. We are back once again. I am here with the Spinner Mason to my Jimmy Brooks, Steven Jensen, for another edition of Degrassi Dudes. Welcome, everyone, and welcome, Steven. How you been doing?
I've been doing great. Me and SP3 got to catch up a little bit before the show. Sorry, we're a little bit late today. He does FMC right before this. I kind of get my day started. We'll probably start scheduling these at like 10:10 so that like people don't think we're running so late. But we had to get caught up on some stuff, before we went live today. But yeah, it's been a really good week. A ton of wrestling, a ton of talking. Like this is one of those weeks where like I tried to like not talk at all. Like a couple days ago, I was like just trying to give my voice a rest. We were talking some Bloodsport beforehand also, and if you want to see kind of my live reactions to that, I was on the True Heel Heat YouTube channel, or all their platforms really, to watch Bloodsport with Romeo and who was with us. It's been such a long week. And
Rich fan of PW Torch.
Yes, really nice guy, Rich fan. He was cool as hell, and he has a deep knowledge of independent wrestling as well. So I got to have some really cool conversation with him. Really, really cool guy. I like Rich a lot. That's the first time I'd ever interacted with him, but it was it's something I hope to do again soon. So yeah, check that out. That was Bloodsport. And then I saw I hit you up about it. I hit up Romeo about it after, but like I thought that was hilarious. Y'all had Keemstar on during WrestleMania. Like, oh my god, I just saw a kid behind a camera was there too. But like he's a little bit more accessible. I've seen him and like he knows Jesse a little bit, so he's been in like our Twitch chats before. But I was kind of marking out seeing Keemstar because like. I mean, if you know, but like that guy, very controversial figure in internet history. But I just thought it was hilarious. It was so random. I was like, Keemstar went on this? What the hell? And then you're like, yeah, like him and Romeo are boys from back in the day. And I talked to Romeo a little bit about it. But yeah, shout out to everything you guys did over there, True Hill Heat, over the last week, man.
Thank you so much. Like we've been having people say we were the wrestling multiverse because we had, you from Fightful, we had Tempest from Wrestle Talk, we had Keemstar, Kid Behind the Camera, we had Kate Hensler from Fightful, Rich Fan from PW Torch, Professor Chris from Post Wrestling, Jay Shell and Joe Holber from Late Night Grid. So I was very happy with how everything came together on our Twitch platform, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Very happy at how True Hill Heat's WrestleMania week turned out. So go over to the YouTube channel, to the Twitch channel, check out all that. Steven, Rich, and Romeo watching Bloodsport is like our second most viewed video over on our Twitch channel. So I'm very happy about all of that stuff that we were able to accomplish. But you yourself, the Weekender, you covered everything from the collective. So if you haven't already, we're on Fightful Overbooked, but go over, support Fightful Select because there's so much content that you can get really caught up on all of independent wrestling, as well as, WWE, AEW scoops galore over on Fightful Select. I'm a member, so you should be as well. So spend a little bit of cheddar. You get the news on a quicker basis from Sean as well as Steven and all that crew over there.
Yeah, absolutely. FightfulSelect.com. That's the most direct way you can support Fightful. Yeah, I did a Weekender episode. I did a preview that everyone can listen to for free. It's on Fightful Select, but like you don't need to be subscribed. So if you like missed the collective and you want to know more about it before you watch it, that's available once again completely for free at FightfulSelect.com. And then my review is behind the paywall, as most of my shows are, but if you enjoyed the collective or you want to know more about kind of the fallout of it, what I did is I went through all 12 of the shows for the collective. I went through, I went like match by match on the results, gave the finish to every single match. So like you have a good idea of kind of trying to paint a picture of kind of what you saw at the end of each match, and then gave some thoughts. So yeah, if you want to know about like all 12 of those shows, and then WWE WrestleMania, I've been saying it for a long time, along with some others. Fed dead, right? That's been the big thing. Fed dead. And Cody Rhodes is back home. All hail. I will say Fed's back. Raw was awful. I watched all 3 hours, but Cody's stuff was very interesting. So like I've said it before and I'll say it again right here. When Cody Rhodes wins the WWE Championship, it'll be the proudest moment I've ever had as a wrestling fan. It'll be the culmination of my 30 years of watching this stuff. It'll be him winning. And by the way, people want the round table.
I've been seeing that. I've been seeing people tag us on social media who are great. Go out of your way if you haven't watched that already. Our Cody roundtable before all this craziness started. Before if you watch True Hill Heat, our weekly podcast, our flagship tomorrow 11:05 a.m. Eastern time, it's going to be the season finale of the Codyverse turns. I don't know if you've seen it, Jensen. I know Romeo's clipped a couple of it.
I've seen those some clips. Yeah,
we do a whole segment where I do the Cody reports and rumors in an ASMR voice while there's like music in the background. So the season finale is tomorrow, but yeah, like you said, Cody returning, that was like the WrestleMania moment for me. I felt if you go over to WrestleTalk.com, I did a top 10 best matches of WrestleMania 38 week, and definitely Cody versus Seth is in that top 2, top 3 section. So go over there and check that out. Wasn't number 1 because you also, if you haven't already, go to the main Fightful channel because Jensen as well as Joel Pearl did a great review of ROH Supercard of Honor. And if you've seen the Dave Meltzer ratings, he threw all the stars at that, and well deserved for FTR versus the Briscoes. So there was so much great wrestling that it's nice for us to kind of just give a synopsis of everything that we did throughout the week. I did like 15 different shows. I reviewed both nights of WrestleMania for True Hill Heat as well as Believe in Pro Wrestling podcast. I did a prediction show with Renee Paquette, which is like one of my bucket list things that I ever did.
Awesome. I'd love to be able to talk to her. She seems awesome.
She is just full of joy, just such a friendly person. And I had a nice little funny banter with her because I told her I was rooting for AJ Gray at Joey Janela's spring break over Mox. So that was a nice fun one. I said, I'm doing it for you, so you don't have to watch your husband go through this stuff anymore. And then I got to actually beat her in a trivia battle. Spoiler alert. I beat Renee Paquette in a trivia battle about information about the WWE when she was working there. So that was the best part for me.
Oh, wow. That's hilarious. So a couple things real quick. So if we do the Cody Rhodes roundtable, which we're all in for, like I talked to Jeremy about it yesterday. I saw everyone else, me, you, Joe, we all responded on Twitter. Like we're all 4 of us are down for it. If we do this, you have to be honest this time and explain why Cody did you the way he did. Why you're so, because we know there's got to be I know, tell the people all the disgusting things you said about him before he did that to you. Okay.
No, it wasn't before.
No, I know Cody too well. And you had to have done something to get that reaction. I don't believe your story that it was just innocent old SP3, just, hey, oh, Cody. And like, no. Are you wearing a Mighty Duck shirt?
Yes, I am.
Hell yeah, dude. All I had to see was all I could see was like the yellow little piece at the top, and I know it's Mighty Ducks.
Yes, I wore it for you and Jeremy. Jeremy didn't even keep it, but you did. See, this is why we're brothers. Yeah, we're brothers. Yeah. We're brothers from a Bombay hit on mother.
A Bombay soccer hockey mom affair. And then also the other thing was just really quick. I'll throw this out there too. My top 3 matches of the whole week from all the stuff that I was able to see. I'll say in order. I'll say FTR and Briscoes, even though my number 2 match, I have way more emotional attachment, was Seth and Cody. I love that. And then Cole Radrick versus Speedball at Unsation Pro during the Collective. Those are my top 3. But also honorable mention when it comes to WrestleMania to Becky and Bianca. That was a good one. That was 100%. A very good one too. That's the only other match I've seen. Like Seth and Cody, Becky and Bianca seem to be kind of the top 2 that most people are talking about for WrestleMania, and I think it's well deserved. Yeah.
By far, I gotta throw a shout out for, I told you right before we went live, Jon Moxley versus Biff Busick from Bloodsport, which is like, oh my god, that just got my adrenaline up. My wife was like, "Why are you watching this? Why do you enjoy this so much? So bloody." And Speedball Mike Bailey versus Bandito from WrestleCon Super Show, because I've been seeing a lot of Speedball talk, but not enough talk about this matchup. It was crazy. It was insane. So much high flying expertise. So yeah, that's all the wrestling stuff for this episode of Degrassi Dude. Check out all that stuff. Me and Jensen been talking a lot about professional wrestling this past week, so it's very great to be back here to talk about Degrassi. And we're not only talking about Degrassi, we also related before we started the show that we relate on the fact that we are big fans of Jay and Silent Bob. So two things that we love came together in season 4 of Degrassi. What was your initial reaction? But no, first, before we get into those two worlds meeting, give us your emotional attachment to Jay and Silent Bob, Jensen.
So it's funny. So I'll show the people. I don't think there's anything down here that would get in the way. But so like down below me, and there's another side you can kind of see the corner of over there. But I have the blueprints to the Mallrats like schemes to take out LaFours. Like, I mean, they're in my office always. I mean, I even have, hold on a second.
That's so great.
Grab these.
Jensen getting all of his props from his Jay and Silent Bob love. Thank you everyone for joining us in the live chat. If you haven't already, drop the thumbs up on the video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you are new. This is not just for Degrassi fans. Obviously, this is for Mallrats fans, for Clerks fans, for Jay and Silent Bob, Strike Back fans. We're talking about it all here on Degrassi Dudes, because this is what we do Fridays, 10:10 a.m. Eastern time.
Just showing off, some swag I got in my office. I got these little like Jay and Silent Bob figures. Have you ever seen these? Pretty cool.
Oh, that's so cool. Is those Lego figures?
They're like I don't even know, to be honest. They're like these little, but like they're a little J1, Jay and Silent Bob with Suzanne.
I love it.
Jussie.
Yes,
Jussie. And the Will Ferrell guy from
from Shrek.
Yeah, I've got those displayed in my office with like a bunch of my figures.
So what was the first movie that you saw with Jay and Silent Bob?
So the first one I saw was the same one you had seen first, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Because
actually, the first movie that I ever saw with them, that I told you the story. I'll tell them that the first rated R movie that I saw in theaters at 13 years old was Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. But I knew the reason why I wanted to see the movie and sneak into the movie is because the first, one of my favorite comedies of all time is Clerks.
Yeah,
Clerks is an all-time classic for me. Jay and Silent Bob in front of the store, the young Jay introducing his cousin is like one of my favorite scenes.
What, Olaf? Yeah. Oh yeah. My love for you is like
berserker. Yeah. My love, I like to do and fuck berserker.
That's, would you like some making fuck? And she's like, do you say making fuck? Yeah, no, so I'd seen Jay and Silent Bob first just because I was like, we're the same age. So it was like just kind of right age, right time, edgy, kind of funny movie that like just kind of circulated between me and my friends. And then I was like, wait, like they have like other movies of these guys before this. And that's when I went back and watched Clerks and watched Mallrats. And, then all of it, Jason and Amy and a Dogma. And all that stuff. And, like Mallrats is one of my absolute favorite movies ever. Like it's in my probably top 5 of like my favorite, and then Clerks is probably right there too. Like especially going back and watching it nowadays, I think Clerks and Mallrats are the 2 best movies of that whole series.
They have very good replay value, that's for sure. Like I saw Clerks, and literally that's probably one of the movies I've seen the most in my lifetime, because there was just little things that I had to like go back and get, like Randall listing all the porn films, the VHSs that he needs in front of the mother and the daughter is one of
the most disgusting titles of movies.
Cum Guzzler 7. just great stuff. The whole conversation about like just they had very philosophical conversations in that supermarket there, that little grocery store with
Quick stop.
yeah, with Dante and Randall, just great stuff. And then all the scenes with Jay and Silent Bob just make me laugh, especially because of just how raunchy and uncut Jay was at that time, because he was so young and his whole shtick was just cursing at a wild volume and selling weed, of course. So I just love all those scenes, and they have so much great replay value. I love Clerks 1. I even really enjoy Clerks 2. I know a lot of people were down on Clerks 2, but I really enjoyed Clerks 2 for mostly Jay and Silent Bob, because Jay and Silent Bob are really the stars of that as well.
Yeah, I liked Clerks 2 also. It was a little different, but like I liked it. And they're making Clerks 3 right now, so hopefully it winds up being good, because neither of us like the reboot, which we talked about a little bit before. I think my favorite line in like any Jay and Silent Bob movie ever, I almost positive it was from Mallrats, because they all kind of run together with some of these quotes and stuff. But like it's like the two of them are just like hanging out outside of a store, and like just some girl walks by, and completely unsolicited in any way, shape, or form, as she's walking by, Jay yells out at her, goes, "Ever have your asshole licked by a fat man in an overcoat?" And like turns to Silent Bob, who's wearing an overcoat. You know what I mean? He's like, "Snooch," you know. And I'm like,
I'm pretty sure that strikes back. I'm pretty sure.
Is that what is it?
Yeah.
I just remember hearing that line and thinking it was so funny, because like all like this girl has nothing to do with them, and that's his like pickup line, is like yelling that at somebody, and I was like, that's so funny. Like just the idea of that, but like obviously you would never do that in real life. That's what makes it so funny as well. Is like it's so like, I shouldn't even say unrealistic, because there are people out there that are like weirdos that actually would say that to somebody, but it's so out of the realm of anything I think I'd ever experienced in my real life, that I was like, that's just funny someone would think of saying that. Like,
I saw Strikes Back at 13. I saw it a bunch of times after that. I'm like 33 now, but when I was like 19, I wanted to be an actor. And you know what I chose at one of like the acting classes to be my monologue?
The monologue for your acting class?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. What was it?
The Clit Commander.
Oh, man.
Safe to say, I didn't get invited back to that acting class.
That's hilarious. Dude, that rules. That like you you could have picked any monologue from any movie ever.
I could have picked an emotional movie. I could have picked anything, but I wanted to do the Clit Commander.
You know what would have been a good monologue? Would have been from Mallrats when Brody is explaining his like cousin on the airplane, and like how like the whole story about like everybody thinking it's gonna crash, everyone just starts beating off furiously, like and then like the plane like winds up like not crashing, so everyone just kind of stops, and just no one ever speaks of what happened on the airplane.
But I have it here. This might get us take away all the ads, but
you're gonna read it. Okay, yeah.
I am the master of the clit. Remember this fucking face. Whenever you see clit, you'll see this fucking face. I make that shit work. It does whatever the fuck I tell it to. No one rules the clit like me. Not this little fucker. None of you little fuckers are out there. I am the Clit Commander. Remember that. Commander of all clits. When it comes down to business, this is what I do. Pinch it like this. Oh, you little fuckers. Then rub my nose.
Oh, so good. That's so funny.
Good. It's so good. It's one of the best monologue speeches I've ever seen in a movie, because of how he just went knee deep in it. It was great.
That movie just came up the other day with me and my brother too, where we saw somebody. I can't remember what it was. Somebody, it might have been on wrestling, somebody like tripped really bad. Like it was a botch or something, and they tripped. Like they were like running, but it was like a face first trip. My brother was like, "Die, you super monkey fucks!" Because it was like how like when Jay like
Yes.
like the Planet of the Apes thing,
Die, you super monkey fucks.
and then and then there was and then also that just reminds me, Clerks 2. That was the movie where they try to bring the word porch monkey like back.
Yes,
and that was like one of the funniest things in that movie to me, because the way he kept trying to justify like why he was saying it all the time. Man, I'm bringing it back. You know, there's like what? Like you can't say that.
Outside of Jay and Silent Bob, Randall is one of the funniest characters in any comedy. Just I remember for me for Clerks 2 is the porch monkey, and then him explaining how much Lord of the Rings sucks. He was like, here's the first movie. Oh my god, we found the ring. Here's the second movie. Let's drop the ring in the third movie. Oh my passion.
Yes.
I love it because they try to insult Star Wars and he just rips apart Lord of the Rings. It's great.
Yeah, that I was about to say, like that's another one of those like running things with those movies is about like just like how nerdy they are into like superhero stuff and comic books and all that. But like that was well before, like that was when most people would just be like, this is nerdy and lame. But now, like because of the Marvel movies and the DC stuff and all that, like it's like cool to be into that now. So like so I think it's looked at a little different now, because like when we were kids it was cool to hear, because like it was like he's talking about Weapon X, like Stimpy, you know, just like that's kind of funny because like I know X-Men, you know, as a kid. But like adults would have probably seen that and been like, he's talking about comic books, that's so lame. Now adults hear that and they're like, they think it's cool, so like they probably have a different appreciation for a lot of this stuff if they were to watch it now. And there was one more thing about those what was it, the comics. It'll come to me. There was another thing I was going to say about that.
I remember they had the debate in Clerks in the Quick Mart about what was the better Star Wars movie between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and like they were talking about the infrastructure of the Death Star, and then this guy just randomly, oh no, the cigarette guy at the beginning of it with the queen works for the cigarette company. He's trying to get them to
buy Chuli's gum.
Yeah, he works with Chewy's gum, and he's trying to stop them from selling cigarettes, and they start pelting Dante with the cigarette.
Yes.
And then and I agree with Border Dude. Silent Bob has like the best like just advice quotes and moments ever. Anytime he chooses to talk, and it comes, the first one is in Clerks, where he says a dozen women will cheat on you. Not a lot of them will bring lasagna to you at work. And that kept with me. Kept with me.
That's a great quote.
That taught me, like, you got to look for a good woman. Don't always go for the one that you feel is like the hottest in the world. You want one with that is good looking, but also has those good qualities. That's what I learned from Silent Bob watching Clerks at like, I think I was like 10, 11 years old.
Yeah, no, that's a great quote about like most girls that bring you lasagna at work. They usually just cheat on you. Like that's like that's in what I was gonna say earlier was and it's a good segue in our conversation today. In Mallrats, you know, there's a character named Caitlin who is obviously named after Caitlin Ryan from Degrassi, and she's wearing a Degrassi denim jacket with the Degrassi logo on the background during Mallrats. So that's another little Easter egg that like ties these worlds together. It's like there's some Degrassi references in Jay and Silent Bob movies.
Yes, you showed the love. He showed the love from the very beginning for Degrassi. So yes, we're here to talk about Jay and Silent Bob invading Degrassi. So what was your initial reaction to seeing Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes in Degrassi in season? This was towards the latter half of season 4, which in a lot of people's mind they call it one of the better seasons of Degrassi. So what was your initial reaction to seeing Jay and Silent Bob there?
It was definitely like a mark out type situation, because I was super heavy into the movies, obviously, like of everything we just said, you know, like, so I was like just a huge fan, and because the other thing was me and my friends, we were kind of like, have you ever seen the movie The In-Between, or the show The In-Betweeners, the British show?
Yes, I have.
Well, I wouldn't say we're as vulgar as they were, but like we were kind of like that group where it was like we weren't like the cool kids, we weren't like the total nerds either. It's kind of hard to explain, but like we were really into this kind of stuff, and like most of the school didn't really seem to be. So like we would watch like obscure movies and like Mystery Science Theater and like that kind of stuff was like what we would do. Like we'd allegedly maybe, you know, do some stuff, you know, beforehand, and then we just laugh our asses off and just watch this stuff together. And yeah, it was just one of those things where like that was kind of our little thing, was like no one else in our school was ever really talking about Clerks or Mallrats. And I used to wear like the Snoogans a beanie. Like there was like I used to go to viewusuniverse.com and like buy the Jay and Silent Bob merchandise. I wish I had more of it still. But I think I had a Berserker t-shirt, like, and stuff like that, and like nobody got it.
We gotta get all this gear back, Jensen. Yeah. We gotta rock some Jay and Silent. We might have to do a whole episode of just Jay and Silent Bob. We rewatch the movie and then we talk about it. Like we rewatch each movie.
What did you? This is kind of random, but did you ever like remember like ebombsworld.com back in the day, like before YouTube?
Yeah.
Did you ever see like the G.I. Joe PSAs that were like dubbed over, like other people were dubbing over like the old G.I. Joe cartoons back then? Okay, no. you wouldn't get this then, but the point is, like, I was really into just like really obscure stuff back in high school like that, and if I ever saw anybody else that had anything to do with any of that, like I was immediately like, get to become friends with this guy. And so like, yeah, Mallrats and Clerks and that kind of stuff was kind of like our friend group type stuff. So when Jay and Silent Bob were on Degrassi, my friends weren't into Degrassi at all, but I was able to still kind of fan out and be like, yo, there's still Jay and Silent Bob like stuff out there just like on this show. And, you know, so it was just really cool that they were just like, it was one of my favorite TV shows at the time, and they were some of my favorite movies ever. So yeah. And people in the chat are saying Ebon.
Yes,
yeah, Ebon's wrong. Do you remember that Fensler Films did this thing? It was this whole series of, they would take remember the G.I. Joe cartoon back in the day? There would be public service announcements at the end of the show where it'd be like them explaining like what to do if like you're a kid and like your house is on fire, like or like if someone's drowning, like, and like the G.I. Joe characters would show up and like show them how to fix stuff. And this guy just took the time to just dub over all these PSAs with just really hilarious lines and just scenarios and stuff. It totally changes the way you look at G.I. Joe. And they became like, they were some of the first viral videos like that, like before the term viral existed for videos like that. And E-Bombs World was kind of the hub for like that. And I mean, I remember the Aisha video, this kid singing this weird song in his house, and yeah, people were talking about Newgrounds. Yeah, see, that was my life in high school, was like those kind of websites. It's everyone in this chat's old. We're all old if we remember this stuff. Yeah,
it's totally fine. We're all old people. We gotta just accept it.
But how did you feel about it? Like when you saw Jay and Silent Bob as a part of the show?
Oh, I was so excited. I was so happy. I was like, this is like two of my favorite things, like interacting and like coming together. And I didn't see Mallrats before they appeared on Degrassi. So that actually made me like, because I heard all the interviews from Kevin Smith following being on Degrassi, and how he said like, oh, I had various references to Degrassi and other films, like especially Mallrats with the jacket and the character named Caitlin, and them being very like Caitlin Ryan and like kind of going between two different guys and stuff. So like, yeah, I was like, okay, now I gotta watch Mallrats. So then I eventually watched Mallrats, and then that brought a lot of different things together, because I was like, oh, that's why the guy at the comic book store was important. It was a reference to the past. I was like, oh, this makes sense now.
Yes. It's wild how the movies were out of order in the time. Like Mallrats is the day before Clerks, but Clerks came out before Mallrats did. So you have to kind of go back and like piece together. Like in Clerks, they're talking about that girl swimming herself to death, and Mallrats opens with how and why that happened. So the day before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And now they're all friends. They're all a part of this like little friend group, Dante and Randall and everybody. So yeah, I love how he was able to kind of make his own universe for a comic book guy like Kevin Smith is very fun, and how really him being a part of this Degrassi universe has kind of blended into that as well. So it's kind of fun. We so their his first appearance, Kevin Smith was on West End Girls, which is in season 4 of Degrassi, and this came out. If you want to feel old, just this came out in August of 2005 in the U.S.
Yeah, that was the year before I graduated high school. Yeah.
Exactly. So the main plot is Manny, Darcy, and Shantae devise a plan to get revenge on Paige Chuck for humiliating Manny. But as always, Paige is one step ahead. All this occurs as Kevin Smith has arrived at Degrassi to make his decision about making a movie at Degrassi High School. So yeah, it's a lot of. I think this is when Paige kind of breaks her ankle because she's like in a dress here, and she strips down Manny in front of like the whole school and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the main plot. But underneath, you have Kevin Smith choosing Degrassi, and he sees all of this, so he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have it at Degrassi." So then we go into Going Down the Road, which is Kevin Smith takes over Degrassi Community School to shoot his new movie, Jay and Silent Bob Canadian, eh?
Yes, yeah, I was going to say, yeah. Jay and Silent Bob Go Canadian, eh? Yes.
That would totally be the name of the movie. Absolutely, it would.
Yes.
And he hires Craig to write some music for the movie. Things finally seem to be coming together for Craig. That is until Ashley decides to tell him that she's moving to England without him. Meanwhile, Caitlin doubts her relationship with Joey. This would probably not be a good time for her to be spending so much time with Kevin Smith, though.
Yeah. We're going to get into a lot of this. William Lee Pratt said he was 30. So, dude, yeah, you're older than we are. Dude, you're an OG. That's cool. Yes. That's awesome that you're in here right now. I actually love that.
Yes, I think his first comment was that he's a first gen Degrassi fan. So thank you for joining us. I'm glad this popped up on your timeline and you're joining us. Me and Jensen will be we're gonna have to do a deep dive into the first 2 seasons, Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High, so we could really further. I did see School Out though, William. I did see School Out because I had to learn these references because there's a lot of references to School Out and Tessa Caponelli. So I had to watch that. So I went out of my way a few years ago and I watched School Out, and I was just like, wow. Joey, I always thought Joey was like an upstanding individual. He was always so great with the ladies. And then I was like, oh, you're a scumbag too. You were a scumbag in high school. Okay.
All these kids are scumbags when you really think about it. I mean, like, they're all cheating on each other and doing just bad stuff. And, you know, Craig goes off the rails. We will get into that more, dude, because like that is a big part of where we're going with Craig like writing the song for the movie and stuff. Yes. But I have gone back and I've watched a handful of the Degrassi High episodes, so like I have a little bit of knowledge of it. I will commit to watching all of them though, so we can talk about it. Like I do want to do that. I hope they're still on YouTube. They used to all be on YouTube. So
yeah. I hope so. I hope that we can do that, or HBO Max is going to add that to their list of things they have to get Degrassi wise. So yeah, we also got that's like the main plot, and then this is where Craig loses Ashley. Ashley goes to England, and then I think that he talks Joey into allowing him to go to England, but Ashley basically tells him like, no, I need my space because it's been too much ever since Craig has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So then we go into Going Down the Road 2, which the summary says, off of his bipolar medication and getting out of control, Craig then disappears into the streets. It's up to Joey to save him, but Joey already has enough on his plate trying to save his relationship with Caitlin, who's been spending a lot of time with Kevin Smith. And of course, this leads to Kevin Smith becoming the other man and making out with Caitlyn and helping her make the decision to take this new job where she has like a bigger opportunity and she has to leave Toronto, leave Joey behind, and finally end their relationship for good after their on and off status that has lasted almost 2 decades at this point. So
yeah. So this is, I'm torn about this. So on one hand, when it comes to the actual show, I start feeling weird about Kevin Smith because I'm like, it's like, but this is also where I start really not liking Caitlyn Ryan as well. So this is like, and I always like Joey. So it's one of those things where like, I feel like Kevin was kind of like the antithesis or the like the heel kind of to like Joey's baby face during this. And like Caitlyn, we all wanted to see Caitlyn wind up with Joey the entire series, but Caitlyn winds up, trifling as hell, like going around, like, getting with a whole bunch of different people throughout the show that we're going to talk about, throughout other episodes, and just really kind of tarnishing her whole character, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But the flip side of it is Kevin Smith was a fan of Degrassi, and he was a kid when Caitlyn was a kid, and when she was on that show, he had a crush on her in real life, and he had the opportunity as an adult, as both of them being adults, that he got to kiss his childhood crush on his favorite show. I got nothing but respect for that. Like I do the same thing if I was him. So like, you know what I mean? Like I on the show, it annoyed me. And it made me kind of, and we'll talk more about Kevin Smith throughout this, how kind of weird he came off at certain points throughout this series. But yeah. I got respect for, I do the same thing if they were like, hey, Steven, we're just going to let you be on, Mighty Ducks, and you get to, skate out to center ice with Bombay and Conway and Banks and those guys. I'd be like, yep. You don't have to ask me twice. Like I will, 100%. I'll do that.
I don't even know how to skate. I would do it.
Well, yeah, me either. I was saying, yeah. I'll run out there in tennis shoes. But the point is, like, there's certain things you just don't pass up, whether it makes sense or not. Like, people would be like, who is this guy? Why is this guy a part of this? This doesn't make any sense. But I don't care about that because I'm living out my childhood fantasy. So
I am just here for the childhood fantasies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not here for your judgment. I'm not here for any of that. He was here to make out with Caitlyn Ryan. He accomplished his goal. It didn't matter if Joey was there or not. And when he was watching, Joey already burned his bridge with Caitlyn with the Tessa Campanelli stuff. So he was like, she's fair game. She belongs to the streets now, Joey.
Oh. Gotcha.
That's what Kevin Smith was saying basically. But yeah, I mean, it's a whole other Pandora's box that we'd be opening up if we talk about Craig from these episodes. But yeah. we've made a bunch of references to it with Craig is staying in the boiler room at Degrassi at the start of Going Down the Road 2. And it's Spinner who discovers him. And this is at a time where Spinner has already been, shunned by the friend group because they found out that he had something to do with Jimmy getting shot. So, him and Craig are not on steady ground, but he tries to keep it a secret until he sees that he's going through it. Yes. She sees that, he's going down the wrong path and he's off his bipolar medication. So he basically makes the call to Joey so Joey can, come get Craig. But Craig goes out on his own. He winds up on the street. He starts playing with the guy Skinny, and Skinny is the person who winds up jacking him for his guitar. And
Skinny's a homeless guy who's like playing the drums on the side of the road. Yeah. Him and Craig are jamming together because Craig's got a guitar, and then this,
Yeah, they wonder because Skinny wants to rob somebody, but Craig's not with it. So he winds up robbing Craig himself, jacking him for his guitar and making money off of that.
It's like $10,000 guitar or whatever, or $4,000 guitar or whatever. I mean, it was like,
spend most of his dad's inheritance money on that. And then he gets jacked because he's off his bipolar medication. And then, and then he winds up at the homeless shelter, and then they see his face on the TV. So they eventually call the number on the TV, and that's when Joey finally comes and saves Craig from himself. So.
Yes, and Craig's like totally out of it when Joey shows up because like Craig's like not really making a whole lot of sense with like, Like, I mean, you shouldn't say he's not making sense. Like, he's kind of like crying about like they took my guitar, and they're like, and Joey's just kind of like, is there more going on here than this? Like, what? And yeah, that whole thing, because that also was starting to cause a rift between Joey and Craig, because Joey was like, Craig, if you're going to be spending this much money on a guitar, like, could you help out with like around the house a little bit? Because like Angie is expensive, and keeping the roof over both y'all's heads, and you go through shoes super fast, and I'm always buying you stuff. And to me, it was like, I understand where Joey's coming from in that scenario. Like as Craig though, I would feel kind of the same way he did, where I'd be like, you don't make your other kid pay for anything. But at the same time, Joey's like, yeah, my other kid isn't spending $5,000 on a guitar. Like, if you're just gonna blow that money, essentially, like, you could go so far helping us, or buy your own shoes instead of me buying your shoes for you if you're gonna spend $5,000 on a guitar. But then like they wind up like, once this happens and he finds Craig and like they get like the help they need and everything, like that never becomes like an issue going forward. Like, it just kind of gets squashed. So
yeah, great. Craig can always find another issue to develop, and he does eventually in season 6. Well, we move on to the next time we see Kevin Smith is in the Lexicon of Love, which is towards this is towards the middle or the end of season 5. This is actually, I think it's season 5, episode 11, and we have. This is the summary here. So Alex shows up in front of the school and excited about going to the premiere of Jay and Silent Bob Canadian A with Paige, only to find out that Paige only has 2 tickets and she gave the other one to Hazel.
Oh, that was a cringe moment, by the way, where they're all together and like she finds out there isn't a ticket for her, like kind of in front of everyone. I felt bad for Alex.
Yeah, I felt bad for Alex because you could see this was at a time where they were really getting close as friends. Like, she had already really kind of become a part of the friend group because she was so close to Paige and helped her out, working together at the mall. So then Paige then goes to get an extra ticket from Kevin Smith, but finds out that she was cut entirely from the movie. That was another one that was like, oh. So she gives Alex the extra ticket and decides not to go to the movie, but Alex brings Paige anyway. When Paige and Alex, Emma, Peter, and the others arrive at the kitty after party after the movie, Paige and Alex decide to crash the real after party by pretending to be a lesbian couple.
Yeah, the security guard won't let them in because they're not on the list, and then when he like thinks it's like 2 hot lesbians, then he lets them in.
This is where you learn the lesbian get out of jail free card.
I would have done the same thing if I was that guy. I get it.
True.
Keep it real.
The two have fun at the real after party, and even upstage Smith and Jason Mewes, who are very focused in on Paige and Alex dancing in the middle of this real after party. Paige and Alex decide to head home, and they stop by Alex's house to get shoes because Paige left hers at the after party and Alex didn't want to wait. At Alex's house, her mom and her mom's boyfriend Chad, what a freaking Chad, get in a fight, and Alex ends up hitting her arm against the table. She and Paige head back to Paige's house, and that's where they get very close and they end up kissing. And that's how this episode really ends, but they also add on, meanwhile, Emma and Peter catch Emma's stepdad, Snake, kissing Peter's mom, Principal Hasalaskos. Oh, man. I forgot this all happened in one episode. Two very famous kisses in Degrassi-verse.
That was one that I really wish never had happened on the show. The Snake and Hasselakos one. I don't think that needed to happen for Snake's character at all. Like, that whole thing about and it made him kind of estranged from his family for a while. He had to like go stay with Joey or something. I can't remember. He stayed somewhere else for a minute, and it was just like, it's like, you've already given this dude cancer and like all the other stuff he's had to deal with, and like he's kind of like the role model. Like, he's the kid from the original Degrassi who went on to become like a respected teacher, and he's like the cool teacher, like, And it was, and also he got accused of the Darcy stuff that he didn't do. Like he didn't. I didn't think it made any sense to do Snake like that and have him do this story where he also was now he's now not only are all the kids cheating on each other, now the principal and the most cool teacher are cheating with each other now too. And that's another thing too for Hatsalakos. Like, you're the leader of the school. You have the biggest POS child at that school in Peter, and you're cheating on your husband, like with a teacher.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, no wonder these kids are all so screwed up. Look at the people that they're looking up to. Like,
look at the examples these people have, for God's sakes. Like,
you're a product of your environment, right? Like, I mean, like, if you grow up and like it's just normal for all your heroes to be cheating on each other, you think it's normal to be cheating on people. Like, it's just what people do.
Exactly. And this is why Emma and Peter were never going to work out, because of this example from their two parental figures. So we move on to Lexicon of Love 2. Kevin Smith helps a confused Paige come to terms with her sexuality and her feelings for Alex. Alex and Paige become a couple in this episode officially. Emma feels compelled to tell her mom she saw Snake and Miss Haselassos together, and gets him thrown out the house. Damn, snitching gets stitches, and it didn't even make her bleed. It made the whole family bleed. Paige tells Hazel about the kiss with Alex, and she says it was nothing, and that Alex is nothing. Ugh. And then Alex hears them and gets angry. Jay hangs out with Alex, and apparently Emily and Chad are back together despite the fight, and Chad throwing Alex under a small table. Alex goes outside for air and then sees Paige.
Paige is standing there in the hallway.
Yeah, Paige is standing there, and this episode ends with them holding hands officially together moving forward.
Yeah, kind of creepy though, like just be hanging out in the hallway like unannounced, like, you know what I mean? Like, she didn't like, times have changed though. Like back in the day when we were growing up, like, you kind of just showed up places. There was no internet, really. I mean, there was the internet, but it wasn't used the same way it is now. Like, you might call someone, like younger people, like, it's really weird to talk about now, but like now it's, you know, it's so easy to text someone or just something. You're so closely linked and all this different social media and stuff. Before it was like, hey man, what are you doing on Saturday? I don't know. What are you doing? All right, I'm going to call you around like 2 p.m. If you don't answer, like, I'll be at this place at, you know, this time. And like, you just kind of hoped everyone showed up when they were supposed to. Now it's like, you know, now we're all way more linked now. So like, when you
or
see
it was
like
AIM.
that,
you hit them up on AIM.
AOL Instant Messenger. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. BRB TTYL.
This is where you learned all the acronyms for everything. BRB.
And that also was the blueprint for what became emojis on like everyone's phones and stuff. Like, that was the first thing that had like the little smiley faces and stuff. So yeah, man. So for Paige, it's funny when you watch it now, but back then it wouldn't be as weird, because like Facebook was like brand new when these episodes were coming out.
There wasn't no like Facebook Messenger at this point. Like, you literally had to put it on their wall for everyone to see what if you wanted to like send a message to somebody.
Oh yeah, and I've got probably so many embarrassing messages out there in the universe to this day from like stuff I was saying to my friends in high school publicly on our walls and Facebook on Facebook. But
well, this is 2005, so this is back when you had to be in college to be on Facebook.
Right.
Remember when Facebook was only college? Like, it wasn't. I didn't have it at this time. I think I got it the following year when I started. When I started at St. John's University, one of the first things that I did on my St. John's laptop that they gave me is everybody was like, "Yo, you got to make a Facebook." I'm like, Facebook, okay.
Yeah, I remember getting it my senior year of high school, but it was after I had been accepted to my college. You needed like a college ID to be able to get in. So once I got accepted by my college, I literally signed up for Facebook probably within 2 weeks of the website existing. Like, I mean, I was like really early on. But that all being said, at this time, it isn't like, in hindsight, it seems weird and kind of almost creepy that like someone would just be waiting in a hallway for somebody unannounced. But like back then, you kind of just did stuff like that. And like, if they didn't show up, they didn't show up. You just walked back home. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody knew that you ever had left. You know, times were different.
Yes, this was the time of MySpace as well. If you didn't
Mhm.
have someone in your top 8, that means that y'all wasn't real friends. That's what it meant back in
And
those.
that should cause problems. I remember because like people would get upset at their friends for not being in their top 8 and stuff. That was the main reason I never got into MySpace, was because like I thought it was like too much pressure to like decide who my favorite friends were. It's weird. But that did make the blueprint for what became Facebook, though, for sure. Like the
Yeah,
concept of MySpace, um, they got kind of screwed in that. And well, actually, Tom wound up doing great because he sold MySpace like before it was worthless for like
exactly.
millions, and now he just got out, and I think he's just a photographer. He just goes around the world and like relaxes, and I mean he's never gonna need to work another day in his life because of all the MySpace money he made. So like, and he got out of the game. Like he's not like trying to be famous or trying to be like an influencer or whatever. He just out there
People
doing his
gotta
thing.
make a movie about him. Like Mark Zuckerberg got the whole social network movie for Facebook. Why did nobody do a movie on Tom in MySpace?
That's a really good question. Unless he might not even want the publicity, to be honest. But that is a good question. Like if I'd be interested to really see that, because he was pre Zuckerberg and coming up with the idea of social networking, and then the story of like watching Facebook like completely eclipse MySpace like so fast. But then the story of like him getting like selling MySpace would be like really interesting. Like the
Yeah.
deals that got made and him just being like, all right, shit, we got out before it got bad.
And
We
then yeah,
won.
and then
Let's
the
go.
aftermath of the people that bought it from him, and they're like, "Oh, damn!" Like everybody's on Facebook. Everybody just forgot about MySpace.
Yeah. Well, it kind of happened to Napster also, because
Yeah.
Napster basically invented the P2P file sharing concept
Hmm.
for music files and stuff. And then like Kazaa and BearShare and LimeWire and like all these other offshoots came out of Napster's technology essentially, but Napster was the one that all the musicians went after. So Napster got shut down and they got totally screwed, and they basically had to try to compete with iTunes and make their music, like you had to pay for their music, but everyone's like, well, I'm just going to use iTunes instead of Napster. But then like those other sites wound up like, and even iTunes itself, like they pretty much used the Napster formula, but then just like actually charged for the music. So anyways, uh, the point is sometimes people have great ideas and they get totally screwed over, and then other people take those great ideas and become trillionaires.
Absolutely. I was talking to Jeremy on FMC that I watched Tom and Pam, Pam and Tommy, the new series on
Haven't seen it yet, but I know what
Pamela
you're talking about. Yeah,
Anderson
yeah.
and Tommy Lee, and it talks about how this guy just got like screwed over by Tommy Lee, and to get revenge, he steals the safe, and the safe has the sex tape in it. So he's the one that puts out it on the internet for sale, and then somebody buys it and then just puts it out for free, and then they are the one that winds up getting the rights to the sex tape to sell it for profit, and they're the one that kind of was more successful out of it, not the guy that originally stole the sex tape. And a lot of that is what we're talking about with like Napster and MySpace. They start something and then somebody comes and does it a little bit better or does it in a different way, and they get all the praise and all the success for it. So
Yeah, very true.
kind of how it works.
I mean, apparently a lot of the people throughout history that are credited for like stuff like electricity and like a whole bunch of that kind of stuff were really probably stealing the ideas from other people. Like they were just the
Yeah.
ones that like got were the loudest, that like people thought that they had came up with it, but like they were, I bet you there was a lot of people throughout history that this happened to before there was any way of proving one way or the other like whose idea it was. Like
Very
Einstein
true.
might have been a complete idiot that was just stealing everybody's shit. I mean, we don't know. You know what I
Don't know.
mean? Like,
We don't know for sure. But we got two more episodes that Kevin Smith was involved in, and Jason Mewes for Degrassi. We go to Degrassi Goes Hollywood, which was a 4-part. It was really a 4-part series. If you do it just on the half an hour episodes, it's 4 parts. So the
you
first
can
part,
watch it, by the way, as like a movie though. Like there is a
yes,
version where it's just all together. Yeah.
Yes. But it goes, Manny wants to be an actress. She is currently studying theater at Smithdale University. She goes to a show where Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes are the hosts. Mewes gives her an audition, but she blows it. Eventually, she regains her confidence and goes to Hollywood with Peter Stone, his girlfriend Mia, Sav Bandari, Danny Van Zandt, and her ex-boyfriend Jay Hogarth. Meanwhile, Paige Michael Shaw is telling everyone that she is a stylist, but she's really working as an assistant for an actress named Haley Montel. Haley is snobby and mean to Paige, kind of similar to Paige in season 1 and part of season 2. Paige gets Haley an audition with Jason Mewes. After Haley's audition, she asks Paige to get an item that she left at the audition. Paige goes back and auditions for the part of Trixie. Paige is then offered the part. Paige and Manny are both known for getting into fights at Degrassi with each other, and they are bitter rivals. So this causes an even further issue between them. There is some major drama here since Manny wanted the role and Paige wound up getting it. Marco Del Rossi and Ellie Nash come to visit her in the mansion that she got by being the lead in the movie, and Paige then becomes obnoxious, spoiled, and rude, basically reverting back to Paige of season 1 because of her fame. She slaps Marco in the face and he leaves her house and heads back to Canada. She gets kicked out of the movie. She then goes to a movie premiere and falls on the red carpet, and then Manny helps her. Later in the movie, Paige becomes Jason Mewes' assistant, except he is much nicer to her than Haley was, and Manny ends up getting the role. Jay loves Manny and would do anything for her just to make her happy, so they rekindle their relationship and kiss. And that's the whole synopsis. The main part of this was Jason Mewes being in this as like the actor, and he really wants Manny the whole time. This is my first discovery of David Rose from Schitt's Creek. If you don't watch Schitt's Creek, that's a hilarious show, and he was the producer who liked Paige more than Manny, who Manny auditions it for and he doesn't like her, and then Paige auditions for him and he does like her.
Gotcha. I haven't seen that show, but I know who you're talking about. Like
he's what's his name? Eugene Levy. That's his son.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Eugene Levy of American Pie fame, of course.
Exactly. Yes. Jim's dad.
Yes.
For those who don't know.
Yes, and like the OG legend of like the weird, if you ever saw like The Naked Mile and like those kind of movies, like he's like, it turns out he's like the god of like all these like fraternities and stuff like from back in the day. They make it cheesy as hell, but it was funny. Pile driver Thomas Edison. People are getting on me for my Thomas Edison is who created the light bulb, right? And
yes.
I think recording sound as well. Who was Alexander Graham Bell was the telephone, I think. But anyways, yeah, we can get into the specifics of who invented what here all we want. But yes, this was also the one, right, where this was the Stooges Rule ending.
Yes.
Stooges Rule. Yeah.
Stooges Rule, because Jay apparently knows how to play drums now.
Like, that was another great just scenario out of this movie was, Jay, like they need a drummer for like Manny to be performing and stuff, because they also do the thing where like they stop at like the restaurant and like they're doing like the karaoke thing, and but yeah, like they need a drummer while they're out there, and Jay's drumming, and I'll never forget like the whole like somebody's like, I think like Peter or someone was like, Jay, yo, you know how to drum? And Manny's like, there's a lot of things you don't know about Jay Hogarth. And I was like, lame. Like I don't like, okay.
I didn't know Jay could be lame.
Yeah,
that's
like
true.
Yeah, like this guy, like these guys are all, they're all too talented. It doesn't make any sense. They're all musicians, they're all actors and actresses, they're all, like even like Holly J and stuff later on, she just like becomes like on, like she's like on TV like right away, like out of high school and stuff. Like anyways, but yeah, but that ending is the cringiest ending I think of any. There's been a lot of cringy Degrassi endings, but that might have been the most cringy, when Jay just gets right off that bus at the end and just one more thing. Everyone like turns like Studes rule.
Yeah,
and they're all like, yeah, Jules, yeah, back in the show. Yeah.
And then we have to start off season 9 with the Studes performing
and that leads into more cringe, where that's where like Shantae is like, oh, they meet Declan and Fiona.
Can you introduce us to the players?
Yeah, exactly.
Is this Hunger
Games?
Games?
Players?
Is this Hunger Games?
What brings the upper crust to Degrassi? Like, this is, the unofficial video vlogger of Degrassi. Out of here with that.
Shantae was like literally a third tier Hazel replacement.
For like a decade on the show somehow. Like she survived multiple roster changes and free agency. Like
she was in high school with like Darcy, Manny, and then winds up where she's still in high school where we have like Allie and Claire and Drew. Like it's like, how long have you been in high school for?
It almost gets into like Grease territory, right? Like the movie Grease, where like they're all like clearly like 40 something, but they're playing high schoolers, and it's like Shantae wasn't that old, but the concept of like, how long are you gonna be in college? Like Screech, like how long are you gonna be in high school, bro? Like there's only so many new classes of Saved by the Bell before it's like, bro, you gotta move on with your life.
10 seasons of those new class last. People don't realize that New Class lasted longer than the original Saved by the Bell.
Did it really?
Dude,
I didn't know that.
Dude,
wow.
I'm gonna look it up right now, but I'm pretty sure I've read that before. So
if that's true, that's crazy.
So Saved by the Bell had 4 seasons. It just had 4 seasons.
Only had 4 seasons.
I guess 4 seasons.
It was on for syndication so often on TBS that it must have just felt like it was longer because I saw so many reruns. New Class, 7 seasons. I can't believe that. I mean, I believe it because I believe you just looked it up, but I can't believe like that is a mind F. I did not. Wow. Anyways, but so Screech was like on that show. Like he wasn't in high school anymore, but he was like Belding's assistant or something.
Yeah, he was like the principal's assistant. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like just the idea of like you can't move on with your life, can you? Like you're still getting in the drama of like high school with Saved by the Bell kids.
The final episode, I just see the summary for the final episode of New Classes. Screech thinks he deserves a raise. Well, yeah, you do. You've been on this show for 11 seasons.
Yeah, facts. This
That's
is a good
true.
point. How many seasons of Good Morning Miss Bliss were there?
I believe there's only one.
Just
season
one, I think.
Good Morning Miss Bliss, because I actually seen I think Lifetime did a like Saved by the Bell movie based on like the actors in it, and Good Morning Miss Bliss was only I don't even know how many episodes. It was 13 episodes.
You're talking about the Saved by the Bell thing they did, where it was like actors and actresses playing them, and that was the worst fucking thing.
That was awful.
That was a Screech smear campaign. Like that was because you ever read Screech's book that he just like telling all, and like most of it apparently was just like total BS. This is the most random shit ever. I don't know if I've ever told you this. I was doing trivia in Atlanta, Georgia. This was a few years ago. And one of the team names at the trivia I was at named their team something like Kevin the Robot Bone Screech or something. Like it was like some crazy Saved by the Bell name. It was so random. It was like Kevin the Robot Screwed Screech or something like that. And I was like, why did you name your, because they had to say it out loud on the microphone when they're like, and Kevin the Robot Screwed Screech, their answer is this, and it's like, and so I asked around and they were like, oh no, the voice of Kevin the Robot is the guy reading the trivia here. And I was like, wait, are you serious? Like that guy is the guy reading out loud right now. So I go up to him, the trivia ends, and I walk up to him and I was like, hey man, like, were you really Kevin the Robot on Saved by the Bell? And he was like, yeah, dude. Like, she's like, that actually was me. Like, that's why people like mess with me up here about it. And I wound up sitting down with him, and I was like, I just read Dustin Diamond's book. And he was like, do you have that with you? And I was like, no, I don't have it with me. And he's like, everything I'm hearing about that was totally fake. Like, there's a reason that all of us stopped talking to that guy. Like, he was outcast for a reason. Like, he was such a liar and all this stuff. And I'm sitting here drinking a pitcher of beer with Kevin the Robot. It was the most random thing I think I've ever done in my life.
That marks me out way more than it should.
Yeah.
So even with what CM say, if we lumped Good Morning Miss Bliss with Saved by the Bell, that's still 5 seasons, ladies and gentlemen. New Class lasted 7 seasons. Okay, even if you want to do because let's see how many seasons the college years were.
Yeah.
I think that was 1 season. That's 1 season.
1 season.
So even if you add Good Morning Miss Bliss and the college years, you only
I'm not gonna lie. When I showed up to my dorm room at Georgia Southern University in 2006, in my head,
I'm standing at the edge of tomorrow. Absolutely. When I went to orientation, at St. John's University, I had that in my standing at the edge of tomorrow. Today.
And then I'm looking at my RA like
is right for me.
It turns around.
And as long as it be how far I go,
dude,
it's not time to waste away. I'm standing at the edge of tomorrow. Today.
And you know
that is still one of my favorite theme songs to any sitcom. I'm sorry.
It's just like Slater pumping iron and doing push-ups and stuff. All right. You know, the guy who plays Jeremiah Lasky in that show, the one who winds up hooking up with Kelly.
Yes.
He is in Better Call Saul nowadays as one of the partners in the firm that Saul initially starts at with his brother.
Yeah. So I hated Jeff. I hated Professor Lasky. I hated anyone who got in the way of Zack and Kelly. Anyone who got I hated Slater for the first season of Saved by the Bell. Anyone who got in the way of Zack getting with Kelly, I automatically hated you. It wasn't until really Slater started focusing more on Jesse where I was like, okay, he's all right. He's all right.
And Screech just never actually got with Lisa.
I mean, I'm okay with that because we saw the opposite of that of when the nerd eventually does get the girl with Family Matters in the latter seasons, and that sucked.
Yeah,
that absolutely ruined the show when Laura eventually got with Steve.
It only made sense when he transformed into Stefan. That's the only time it made any sense.
Literally, she falls for Steve after he literally clones himself to become Stefan. So she has Stefan permanently. Then when Stefan becomes a model and is off, she's like, "Oh, you know what? I think I have feelings for Steve." What the? Huh?
Yeah. Did you? I had to have brought this up before, but have you ever seen Lucas Bros Moving Company, the TV show, the cartoon?
I think I've heard that before.
If you watch the whole series today, it's the most underrated cartoon ever, and it hits us right where we're talking. They have an entire episode about Jaleel White and getting into his brain, into his subconscious, and unlocking him remembering that he was Steve Urkel. They have full episodes based on this kind of stuff.
That's awesome. And CM is right. Showgirls is canon in the Saved by the Bell universe. If you watch the new version of Saved by the Bell, they're on I think they just did season 2 on Peacock. Yeah. Literally, there's a whole scene. There's an episode where Jessie, she divorces her husband and she's trying to get with this new guy, and she's talking to Kelly and Lisa about oh, you don't remember the last time you were single? She was like, yeah, the last time I was single, I went out to Las Vegas and I became a dancer, and I killed somebody, but that's besides the point.
That's awesome. I legitimately forgot they even had the reboot on Peacock. I only watched the first episode of it, and that got enough of my nostalgia because I saw all the old characters. Same thing with Fuller House. I watched the first episode. I was like, seeing all them back together, but I was like, I don't know if I want to go down the rabbit hole of like getting to know these new characters and like watching
Yeah.
the show, you know.
I will say I talked to Jensen. I mean, I talked to Jeremy about this on FMC. I do. There is a part of the Saved by the Bell series that I do like. Like, there's certain new characters. Like, they have a transgender character who's like the kind of the comedic figure of the show, because she's very like sassy and everything, and she's like she just has those great like one-liners and stuff. She's cool. There's I forget his name. He's the black. He's a black guy with the afro, but he's a very cool character. Everybody else is just like they're trying way too much to be the older characters from Saved by the Bell. Like,
Right.
this is why I was telling him, and I told you before. I enjoy Bel Air because yes, it's the same names of these characters, but they put it in a 2022 spin on it, and they make it more realistic and drama filled. So that's why I like that over the Saved by the Bell reboot.
That makes sense. Yeah, we can do an entire Saved by the Bell. We almost just did, but like yeah, very much into all of this.
That's what we might do next week. We might do comparing Saved by the Bell to Degrassi.
Yeah, we could. We can kind of compare some of the characters to each other and stuff. That'd be interesting. Did you ever see the Zack Morris's Trash series on
that's
YouTube?
my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
I literally used to pop every week for those Zack Morris's Trash, because I realized watching it all the stuff he was doing that was just horrible. But it was
totally changed my perspective. Yeah.
It's such a great thing, but that's another fault, another negative about the Saved by the Bell new reboot series is it's like the producers and the directors and writers watched the Zack Morris's Trash and just made Zack Morris trash in this universe. like it was like the reason why it got over the way it did is because Zack was really oblivious to, but is very on the nose that Zack is trash in this new Saved by the Bell series.
That actually makes a lot of sense. That's funny that they changed him from, like, he's like a giant narcissist in the new one, I'm guessing. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which he always was, but he was always positioned as the guy you rooted for originally.
Exactly. That's the biggest differences. But
turns out that Valley High School was like probably the good guys the entire time. You know what I mean? Like, all these guys that we hated, like, that they were always feuding with, like, they were actually the one. They were probably like, no, like, if you saw it our way, like, this dude is ruining our lives. He's like stealing our mascots and like doing all, like, we hate Zack Morris because he's ruining our lives. Like, we're just retaliating. They're making it look like, it's the other way around.
That's one of the better episodes of season 2 of the reboot, is that they did a whole episode where a version of Zack is at Valley and comes into Bayside, and he pretends to be someone else, but it is revealed that he's really like the Zack, because there's the main character of the reboot is this Hispanic girl, because she's like the one that breaks the fourth wall, does the timeout and everything. But they also have Mac Morris, which is Zack's son, and
right.
and they have like this like tenuous like friendship with each other where they kind of go back and forth, but you could tell they are eventually going to be together. But she gets with the Zack from Valley and then realizes that all the things she liked about him was really what she likes about Mac, and Mac is the better version of that. So yeah, that's one thing where the writing was good in that sense, but there's not a lot of good writing in this reboot, I will say. But anything you want to say to close off this episode, where we just had fun? We made it more of a lighter episode. We were going to talk about JT on this episode, but we thought otherwise after 2 weeks ago we did a whole episode on Cam. Shouts out to Not a Vampire. She just did a live stream that I jumped on and said hello to her in the chat and everything. Nice. So shout out to her. She's still doing content. You can check out her channel. But we went heavy on that one. We decided to make this episode lighter, and Jensen made me laugh with a bunch of deep cuts during this one. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. This was fun. Yeah, the only other thing I guess I'll mention, we talked about it beforehand. Some of the Kevin Smith stuff did come across kind of weird. Like when during the Degrassi Goes Hollywood, he Skype calls Manny
Yeah.
and Emma, and his first question to them is asking if they're clothed or not, and then being disappointed when they are clothed. And then like Kelly is with them too, who's like dating Emma. It was kind of weird. But outside of that, once again, respect to Kevin Smith for getting involved in his favorite show.
What are you doing? My daughter just came in here and just emptied a whole drawer of her shoes.
Nice.
I think this is where we end the episode.
Yeah, this was fun. And for anyone who might not have known, Jensen and Bob were a part of Degrassi The Next Generation. They were also a part, real quick, of the she saw me and was like, "No, I'm out of here." But she was
she's like, "No."
She like knew exactly when she was live. She's like, "No." But I think it's also worth mentioning real quick that in the Drake music video, the I'm Upset video, Jay and Silent Bob are in that too. So I think it's cool that like they brought them in for that, and like they consider them enough of like the crew from the show that like they were a part of the, and they also did the whole $15, little man, put that shit in my hand.
One of their greatest lines.
But yeah, yes. But they're doing it outside of Degrassi, like while like the fire's going on and stuff. So like I think it's cool that, and I'm really hoping Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes wind up being a part of this reboot in some way, shape, or form. Like, because Kevin Smith's gonna want in. So like, so yeah, it was just really cool to see two insanely different worlds that I was a fan of both cross over for something like this. It was kind of like I was too old to see this happen live. I found out years later, but it was kind of like there was an episode of Power Rangers where the Power Rangers and the Ninja Turtles team up.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
And it was like, if they would have done it when we were the right age, it would have been like the biggest thing that ever happened. But it happened a little too late for like many people to care.
Yeah, it was for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot one. It wasn't even the original Teenage Mutant.
Yeah, they had the weird costumes and stuff. Like it wasn't even. It looked kind of scuffed, if I'm being honest. Like, and once again, it wasn't Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It was like the like years later Power Rangers. But the point is, those are two worlds that like, those are two worlds you wanted to see together, and they eventually did it. This was like two worlds that I never in a million years would have thought would have crossed over the Mewes universe and Degrassi. But then once you start realizing how big of a fan Kevin Smith was of Degrassi, and then you start seeing what we're talking about with the little hints in his movies,
little Easter eggs,
the Easter eggs, exactly. Like that's so it's just a really cool thing. And for anyone out there that like Jeremy from, I talked to him yesterday, that has no interest in Degrassi but love Jay and Silent Bob, I think it sparks a little interest maybe of them being like, maybe I'll check this out, just because like it's kind of wild that there is, because if you're if you're a fan of the characters of Jay and Silent Bob, you'd probably want to see everything that they've done as those characters, and Degrassi is a part of that I think you need to check out.
Totally agree with you, and it's good because they are just like they do part 1, part 2 in like season 4, part 1, part 2 in season 5, and then the Degrassi Goes Hollywood movie. So you really don't have to spend that much time to catch up on everything. It's really you could finish up everything in like a 4-hour span of Jay and Silent Bob in Degrassi. So it's fun, and we had fun talking about that. Talking about Saved by the Bell, I blew Jensen's mind by telling him that the new class, even if you combine Good Morning Miss Bliss and the college years with the Saved by the Bell core series, the new class still has more seasons than all of that combined.
That's insane. I'm closing the show off, showing you one more thing. As we sign off, I'm gonna hit you with one of these.
Oh, deep cut. Another deep cut by everybody. So remember, guys, to drop a thumbs up on this video. Share it with your friends who
got our Saved by the Bell guys. Close us off. Degrassi dudes, Saved by the Bell dudes. We got Slater, Screech, and Zack.
And let
Hanging out.
let us know in the comments if you want us to do a full podcast next week on Saved by the Bell. No post show this week, CM. As you see, I have to get to my kids that are acting up a storm. But next week, we'll do a post show. Well, maybe next week, if you let us know in the comments, let us know you enjoyed this episode. If you want us to do more of a deep dive in Saved by the Bell, as well as Zach Morris's trash, maybe we could do that. We'll talk about Saved by the Bell next week, and then we'll watch the Zach Morris's trash on the post show.
Ooh,
How
that'd be
about
fun.
that?
Let's
Not
do that.
even
Yeah.
Saved by the Bell. We're gonna watch Zach Morris's trash on the post show. We'll do that. So let us know in the comments if you like that. Share it with your friends who are Degrassi fans, Jay and Silent Bob fans, Saved by the Bell fans. We talked about it all, and yes, I agree. CM, Zach Morris greater than Ashley Kerwin. So for Steven Jensen, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SB3, and this has been Degrassi Dudes.